Jeffrey, good morning, young man. Before we started the recording, you were telling me that possibility of a drought is not going to happen there.
No, we got a good, solid, light rain going on right now.
Yay!
Although we did get out on the grass last evening, so
Yeah,
that was
that's cool.
That was good. Yeah.
Good. So what'd you guys do last night? Just you said you sent out an email blast to members around 2.
Just told them, yeah. So I had I normally Wednesday evenings have a drill session scheduled, and I just threw an email out, said drill session's canceled. We can get on the grass tonight. Show up. I'll fill in. Let's get it going. So
good.
Yeah. So we had a few takers. It was good.
That's great. That's great. Good for you. Good. Well,
yeah.
Guys, listen, we got another episode of the Gold Ball Hunting Podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Pretty obvious. That's what we do here. Look, it's only 6:36 in the morning here in Moraga, and I'm still working through this thing to try to, get
cup number 2.
Oh, attaboy.
For me.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So before we get going, because Jeff, you say you got something on your mind you want to chat about today, guys, we are offering a free private 10-minute coaching call. 3 of us get on the phone. It's live. We don't record it, so we don't spam it out there into the interwebs where that might be holding you back from getting on this call. Because I got to tell you, we are helping folks out, guys and gals, with their game. But we ask you to bring that one thing in your game right now that maybe is a little bit thorny for you and holding you back from getting that result you really want, whether it's singles or doubles. Could be stroke technique, could be strategies, tactics, mental. You could just want to vent because you got a partner who just continues to butcher that.
Yeah.
That little pop-up that you keep creating with that good solid return at the guy's feet, the gal's feet, and popped up and you're going, hey, a partner, I'm trying to play for you. Whatever's on your mind.
Whatever.
Get on the free private 10-minute coaching call. Go over to goldballhunting.com, drop in a first name and email address, click the button, and you'll get access to our online calendar scheduler where you can pick the exact date and time that works best for your agenda. So with that said, young Jeffrey, what's on your mind today?
Okay, first I got a rant that what is wrong with the Tennis Channel? We got Felix Auger-Aliassime playing Dimitrov, and they choose to show a mediocre match at best with Kyrgios and I forget the guy's name.
Spanish dude, probably. Yeah, right.
Spanish dude. I mean, again, nothing against him.
No.
I'm not ranting against him. I'm looking at it, and like they chose it because Kyrgios was having a running dialogue with the umpire almost the whole match.
Right.
But meanwhile, these two guys that are like kind of mostly pillars of the game, and this young guy, Felix, who's just a cat on the court.
Well, and
with beautiful shot making and blah blah blah, and we lose a set and a half of it to wait to see if Kyrgios is going to completely explode. What a waste of beautiful match time on that.
Well, look, I mean, I would assume that whoever is I'm not sure who the guy or gal is who decides which court to show, because they must have cameras on several courts, and I'm sure that they could have shown the match that you're talking about, Dimitrov and FAA. But they must be thinking, whoever's in charge of that camera thing must be thinking that, well, this is what the general tennis viewer wants to watch. They want to see, and we've chatted about this, that tennis is turning into this circus of entertainment.
Right. And for me, it's not about Kyrgios. It's just about quality. What's going on here, and the fact that they chose the entertainment in terms of shock value, not tennis entertainment, because that's not tennis entertainment. Right. It's just Jerry Springer entertainment, for lack of better term.
Jerry Springer, perfect. That's right.
And yet here the two guys do that. Isn't this what we want to be emulating in the game? This focus of athleticism and blah blah blah, and the respect for the game itself. So.
Well,
anyway,
no, look, there's absolutely no question that, just think about it. Kids are on vacation. They're on summer break now. And, well, at least not out here in the West Coast. They probably aren't up at 6:30 in the morning watching. But maybe back there in the East Coast, they're up there watching the Tennis Channel. And they're thinking, maybe I should do this thing when I've got my opponent down. When they're serving, I should stand like 5 feet from the service line just to show him something. And then back up, and I just think Nick is unfortunately not, well, I gotta hate this term, but he's not a great player for juniors to copy. Throw out role model, right? Throw that thing out there. But in terms of how to be on the court, my God, I hope that we don't start to build a generation of, and look, if the teaching pros don't have the guts, when the kid shows up in the afternoon for the junior workout, the junior program, and starts doing a little walk like Nick and popping off with all that stuff, if the teaching pro doesn't have the guts to say, son, that is not happening here.
Right.
And I don't know who you, if you're trying to be curious, hold on. So anyway, good.
So anyway, so that was my
rant.
first little rant.
Yes.
I just had to get that off my chest.
Good.
So my thought this morning though is because of watching that match, parts of it, is here's Nick having his running dialogue, and my comment here isn't about Nick. It's not about whether he's wasting potential and blah blah blah. That's a whole different discussion, and I have no interest in that discussion really, because that's his own. We're all creatures here on this green earth, and we all have issues and problems and whatever. So I have no idea what's going on in Nick's head, and I won't even speculate. But when a player moves into that space where he's having this constant running dialogue with the umpire, a constant running dialogue with himself, a constant, is he trying, is he not trying? Is he just batting balls? Is he making a mockery of it or not? And it's a constant thing that now his opponent, there's this new layer of variable that the opponent has to deal with now. And I'm looking at it kind of going, is that fair? That this guy gets to interject this extra layer of personal BS, really, that now this other guy has to deal with that for 2-3 sets because this one guy. So at what point does the referee in the chair say, listen, we've talked about this. There's a decision that's been made. It's over. So let's get with it. But the player, it's a very kind of gray area because who's he talking? Who's Nick talking to? He's talking to himself, but he's on the changeover and he's talking to the umpire. And so in that voice, he's talking loud enough for the opponent to hear. So now the opponent has to come up with the mental capacity to shut that out,
right,
and move on. And is that a fair extra layer variable that a player should have to deal with? It's not the same as a car alarm going off or something that is, an uncontrollable that both players have to deal with. That's a different animal. Rain, okay, we both have to leave the court. We both got to come back, blah, blah, blah. But for me, I just looked at it and went, there's something wrong with that in that the player all of a sudden has to deal with that as well, besides, just getting on with the match. So anyway.
Yeah, and there's no way other than if there's, verbal abuse or audible obscenities for Fergus Jenkins, who was in the chair, to be able to say, warning, and then eventually, a code violation. But if it's just a running dialogue, so there's no rules really to apply to that situation that you just described. That is really it's distracting to the opponent. For sure, and how does it apply to the rest of us, as senior players? And there was an incident in April at the 60 hard courts quarterfinal match, and there's this one guy who just typically seems to find ways to need for the opponent to finally go, that's it, I'm getting a referee.
Right.
And where it starts is the classic with calls that are incorrect. It's like,
right.
And I actually experienced it, recently when I played him in the finals for Berkeley with a call that was just horrific. And it was so horrific, I just laughed. And I just walked off because luckily it was a side change. And he made the call and I just laughed and I went and sat down and flipped the score over, right? The scorecard over. I said no. And I was fortunate because I did have a roving umpire who was right there. But what happened in the desert was the calls got into multiple times of his opponent having to, and finally just got the referee out there. And then what started happening was that the opponent was now questioning the guy who wasn't creating any drama on almost all of his calls that were like maybe foot.
Right.
And just in a way to just make it crazy. And so what we discovered was, and then even with the umpire on the court, this guy was still making really shaky calls and being overruled at least once, if not twice a game. And it became a circus. And eventually what we discovered was in the juniors, there's some kind of a limit to how many times you can be overruled.
Really?
But in the seniors, apparently there's not. So in the seniors, you can make horrific calls forever and then argue about them, even though you must know the ball was good, but you're calling it out, and then you get overruled. And there's no code violation that says that, dude, that's your third one in the last 7 minutes.
Right.
We're now yanking a point away from you. Not only was the ball good, you lost that point, but we're taking another point because of the code violation. So it was really interesting, and it was I don't know, lack of a better term, it was just kind of disgusting to where this is. I mean, first of all, this is the '60s, right? When do we grow up?
Right.
Is
Are
there
we
a
still
point?
in 8th grade?
Are we going to grow up here and stop with the baloney, stop with the BS, stop with the drama? And what I see with Nick is drama. It's just, and who knows why he does it? I don't think. I mean,
right. Like I said, I'm not interested in discussing his personality issues or why he is the way he is.
Well, look,
you know what I mean?
It's intentional.
But he's not the only. He's not the only one, though, that this kind of thing can crop up, and I'm wondering, like, why is that fair or legal or whatever for a player to interject that drama for the other player? There's already enough out there to deal with as as a player. And yes, there's going to be conflict, but let's get it resolved. Let's move on so we can get back to playing the game and seeing who is the better player today. Not who can rattle the guy's chain mentally by not hitting a ball,
right?
And then coming back at the end of it and saying, well, you got to be mentally tough out there. Okay, I get it, but really, do I? So for me, I've had moments on the court as well, and getting an umpire and then having the guy, start to talk to me, and I just put my hand up and I just said, I don't know why you're talking to me. We have an umpire here. Anything you have to say, you should direct it to him.
Yeah, right.
And I just turn around and walk away. And then I get ready to set it. And
we had played a league thing a few days ago, and on the court next to us, with doubles, and the four guys just seemed like every game there was a no way. Oh, come on, that ball was way in.
Right.
And I just want to go, fellas, they've got the refs, just, that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Just come on out. And at one point, it's like you want to tell them, this happened at the hard courts, my hard courts in Irvine last week. two guys on the court next to me, both from their own baselines, are discussing something, and they're both in disagreement.
Right.
And it's going on, and I finally said, fellas, could you come together at the net and chat about this quietly? And so there's, I don't know, I guess it's, what you're talking about opens up the discussion for lots of different situations that are out there.
Right.
But I would say,
I just feel like, though, in that environment, we're talking about professional sport.
Yeah.
There is a guy with the rule book sitting in a chair. He's there to manage this stuff. That's what he's there for. Keep score.
Well, who's to say that the ATP isn't saying to the referees, give this guy some leash.
Right, entirely possible.
Because he's the one who's selling tickets. He's obviously the one that Tennis Channel is going to be showing. So if you code him too many times, then he's out of here, and now the people are disappointed. So
and what's unfortunate is there's talk about a great win. FAA beats Dimitrov in straights. Right. Solid match though. Right.
And so now we have FAA and Nick playing each other in the draw next round.
Right.
That should be interesting, because you got the young kid who is behaving the way you want to see all players behave, pro, senior, juniors, whatever. Obviously, the guy is on a really fast learning curve, and he's smart enough to realize that all the Kyrgios type of drama is going to slow him down. Of course, that may not be his personality either. I mean, he may have the kind of personality where he doesn't want to do that stuff. But you're right, Jeff. I mean, there's got to be a way to enforce the rule book, and even if it means that the rule is, I'm the umpire. Hey, Nick, totally subjective on my part. You either shut up, because just like you said in the beginning, I've made my decision. Or else I'm going to start to code you.
Right. I mean, do we need to bring in the soccer, yellow card, red card, boom, just from the chair, yellow card. Not even a big, not a big discussion.
Right.
Sorry, you've been going on for 8 points now.
Yeah.
And you're distracting your opponent from being able to play the game.
Right.
I don't know. There's something in there that has to be adjusted somehow. I know it's an ethereal kind of, it's a subjective thing to sit there and decide. But I'm watching it and kind of going, God, the other guy's just doing his best. He's trying to, and then you pile on with this extra bullshit. Right. Excuse me, but extra, Yeah. And so anyway, it was just,
Well, again, I want to make sure that we're, doing more with our audience, with our senior players, other than just, kind of ranting. Is how is this a little value bomb for them? And my thing would be that, look, if you get into a match where someone is either making crappy calls or is questioning you or is doing some drama, just go to the tournament desk or go to someone, whoever is in charge, and just say, we need some help out here. I mean, that's my line. Is I never accuse the guy. I just say, we need some help.
Do not engage the enemy. Right. Do not engage the enemy. Just say, you know what? I think we need some help out here. Yep. Leave the court. Go get the umpire sooner than later.
Right.
And then when there's something that comes up on the court, you just redirect the player. You need to talk to him.
Right. Exactly.
Don't talk to me. And then if the umpire needs to ask me a question, he can. Right. That's his prerogative. But otherwise, you got nothing to say to me.
Who's to say that a lot of players who aren't misbehaving end up, like you say, engaging with a player or a team that is misbehaving as a way to kind of at least have a story at the end of the match that if they lose, they go, God, you should have seen those guys, man. It was just horrific. And so it becomes an excuse. It becomes a story to lose, and you can't let yourself build that story.
No. The nugget here is this: is that if you're going to engage in a discussion of conflict with your opponent across the net, you must treat it as another point in the game. Whoever wins the discussion has a high probability of winning that game, because the emotions of the guy who loses the game, he's still caught up in the discussion while the guy's serving. He's still caught up in the discussion while he's trying to serve. And so if you're going to engage, you have to take it from a tactical standpoint and say, I'm acting now. I'm going to engage in this, but I'm going to be in control of my emotions and not get emotionally attached to the outcome. I'm just going to go ahead and play the game here with this guy. And I've done it where it's like boom, boom, boom. But you have to be aware of doing it so that you can turn around. But it takes a whole extra a lot of mental capacity to do it.
Yeah, and you know me, I've got minimal capacity in that area.
And that's why I'm saying that, though, is that if you choose to engage, engage from a tactical standpoint.
Well, look, I mean, but if you don't have a referee on the court when the guy makes a really bad call at a crucial time in the match, there's nothing you can do about it. You can't win that argument. I mean, you can go eventually, and then a referee comes out and says, "Fellas, what's going on?" And you say, "Well, the guy just made a horrendous call at set point for me," and the guy's going, "Well, I didn't see it." So the referee's going, "There's nothing I can do about it. It's his call." So for me, that argument is not going to do anything. It's not going to, we're not going to be able to play two. No one's going to give me the point, even though the ball was a foot inside the line. So to me, I can't engage there. I just have to realize this guy's a jerk. And as soon as I see the call, I will say to you, I said, "Are you going to make that call? I mean, or something, Really? You want to change the call? No. Okay. Then we're going to go get some help. Because if I engage, I'm screwed.
Right.
I'm just totally
Well, exactly. So you got to know yourself, though, in that thing, right? When I choose to engage, it's because I've chosen to do it, and now I know he's doing it because that's the way he is.
Right.
He's doing it because that's the way he plays the game. That's the way he tactically plays the game, and there's this other underlying thing. So for me, if I choose to engage, it's to draw him out and say, okay, we're both going to leave tennis for a second, both of us, not just one of us, not just me, but you too. And so I might come back and say, "Are you confident with that call?" "Oh, no, I thought it was out." "That's not my question. Are you confident with that call?" So he has to think about the question, come up with an answer, which now means we're both out of tennis, and now we're going to get back into it. I know that sounds crazy, but for me, it helps me, though, because now I feel like when we split at the net, when we leave the discussion, I'm not emotionally attached to it. I know he's not going to change the call. I know that for a fact. So I've already left that part of it off the table. What I want to make sure is that he's had to stop his thought process and go somewhere else, and then come back.
No, you're right. I think it's an individual thing, and you got to know what you can and can't do. And it's
rare. It is completely rare that
Yeah. Well, look at you. I mean, you're a rare breed, Jeff. We all know that. How do they say? They broke the mold anyway. Well, listen.
Good. I broke something, right?
You broke something. So listen, good stuff. Let's end it on that.
Yeah.
And we'd love to hear from you guys. If there's some incident, maybe some crazy thing, without naming names, but if there's some crazy thing that happened on the court, and how you handled it, and maybe what was it, did it work out, or you want some advice on maybe how to handle it the next time? Let us know in the comments wherever you are. But look, guys, free private 10-minute coaching call with me and Jeff, the three of us. We get in the phone and we chat about the number one thing right now in your game that potentially holding you back from getting that result that you want in singles or doubles. Go over to goalballhunting.com, put in your first name, then your email address, click the button, and lo and behold, you will get access to our online calendar scheduler where you get to cherry pick the date and time that works best for you. Jeffrey, what would we like? And we're serious about this. When he says these 4 things, darn it, do them, please. It helps us.
Do
it. Please, go ahead.
Like us. Because we're likable. Share us. Because we're shareable. Please subscribe, because it's just a click of a button.
Yes.
And let us know what you think down below.
Outstanding. Guys, get out there today, wherever you are. Help someone else have a spectacular day. Jeff will do this again tomorrow.
Can't wait.
All right.